A state trooper in Pennsylvania pulled over a young couple for going 5 miles an hour over the speed limit. And when he did so, he said that he smelled marijuana. So, of course, he had the ability to search the vehicle. Now, there was a 26-year-old by the name of Annadel Cruz who was driving the vehicle. It was a Mercedes-Benz, and the passenger was Alexander Bernstein. The cop found a little baggie of marijuana in her bra, but he also found something else that eventually led to their arrest. The trooper found 2 brick-sized packages covered in clear plastic wrap and red tape in a bag stowed in the trunk. It looked like cocaine. So the trooper said that he did a field test to determine if it was any type of illegal substance, and he determined that it was cocaine. All right, this all seems to make sense. They get arrested, and they spend about a month behind bars while they're waiting for their trial. Well, it turns out that authorities had to drop the case because after they did a real test in a lab, they found that it was not cocaine, it was soap, which was what Annadel Cruz kept telling the officer over and over again. That is not cocaine, it's soap, please do not arrest us. Didn't matter, they arrested them, and they were behind bars for a month. 1 month before they got that tested.
All right, so let's break this down. First of all, does a cop ever stop a car anymore without smelling marijuana? Like, because that's this, if it's in the glove compartment, it's wherever. He can't say he sees it, but it's so easy to say he smells it. How are you going to dispute that he smelled it?
Right, it might be particularly skunky, so I could believe that he smelled it. But he didn't originally pull them over because he smelled marijuana. He pulled them over because they were going 5 miles per hour over the speed limit, which is ridiculous. Every single person on the planet goes over the speed limit. And I'm not saying like everyone goes 20 miles per hour over, but it's impossible to make sure that you are like, it was I believe 55 mile per hour zone. It's impossible for people to always go 55 miles an hour.
No, I'm not buying that,
yeah.
Okay? So, and he says she was hugging the lane. Hugging the lane and going 5 miles an hour. Now, look, right now, of course, her side and Bernstein's side, they're irate and they're going to take legal action on this, et cetera. And they say that it was racial profiling. They see a Latina woman driving a Mercedes-Benz. All of a sudden, oh, sorry, you're going 5 miles over the speed limit. 5 miles. And then, oh, what's that I smell? Oh, it's marijuana. Let me check your bra. Oh, look, I found marijuana in your bra, right? Who cares if she had marijuana, et cetera, right?
Who cares if she had cocaine?
Now look, on the other hand, if I see the 2 blocks that are, she claims is soap and they look like cocaine and they're in the Ziploc bags and they got the red tape, I would assume they were cocaine, okay? So I don't have any problem with that. You take them in, I got it, man. We're not here to nitpick, the decisions they make at that time. It's a tough job, yada, yada, right? A month? You're gonna keep them in jail for a month. Well, she says it's soap. Why don't you test it and find out if it's soap? And for the billionth time, if they're from Beverly Hills, they're not gonna keep them in jail for a month. They're just not. They're not. Now look, at least they eventually got some representation here, and the bail was set at $250,000 for one of them and $500,000 for the other. Okay. How are you going to get out of that?
Yeah.
And you're going to set that kind of bail without knowing if it's actually cocaine? Because he did a field test, right? After he smelled the marijuana.
Yeah, and attorneys deny or they're very skeptical about him actually doing a field test, because how would a field test determine that it was cocaine if it was soap? It wasn't even laced with anything. It didn't have any traces of cocaine. It's absurd. So he probably didn't even really do a field test.
Yeah, it was soap. It wasn't cocaine. So obviously he's lying about the field test one way or another. So look, it's just, we've gotten used to it. And maybe this has always existed and we just didn't know it as much before. That's entirely possible as well. But you've got to respect our rights, man. Because the problem is they keep assuming everyone is guilty. And look, in the beginning, like I said, it's actually a fair assumption. You did find some marijuana, you see something that looks like cocaine, you take them in, no one's bothered by that. But you don't keep people in jail and deny them of their liberty for a month. By the way, they could have lost their jobs, they could have lost their livelihood.
They were behind bars during Thanksgiving, and Bernstein has a baby, so he wasn't able to spend Thanksgiving with his family, neither was Annadel Cruz. So losing their job is one thing, not being able to spend time with their families, their reputations got destroyed because this was all over the news, and Annadel Cruz said, look, I have to work really hard to prove that I'm not a bad person, that I'm not trying to sell cocaine, because that's what people think of me in my neighborhood now.
Yeah, and look, as for the billionth time, there's a lot of good cops out there. But if you're one of these cops who wants to lie and say it's, look, I would have thought it was cocaine. For the third time, I'm telling you that. But don't lie about it, because maybe it's not cocaine. And maybe you got the wrong person and you put them in jail for a month when they shouldn't have been there in the first place. Maybe you ruined their lives because of that, right? That's why you don't lie about field tests, etc. Okay? And you don't plant evidence and you don't do all that stuff. You don't pretend to smell marijuana. Look, I don't know if you can tell. I'm really pissed about the smelling marijuana bullshit, because that's now the new catch-all. Mm-hmm. Oh, hey, John, what do you think you smell? Oh, funny enough, we seem to agree we smell marijuana.